Please welcome Christos Nikou, writer-director of Apples, the Greek entry for the Oscars, and executive producer Kate Blanchett, who saw the film as head of this year's Venice jury. And I'm going to start with you, Kate. What inspired you and your Dirty Films production label to come on board this movie?
Well, I was president of the main competition, and I snuck away to see Christos's film because I'd heard so much about it, and I just struck such a chord with me. I mean, it was in the Horizons Festival, but I couldn't believe it was a first feature. It was so accomplished, and I found it so disarming and compelling, you know, because I suppose also because I was in a state with the pandemic of remembering a lot of things and thinking about the place of memory in my life and how we remember and what do we remember and who are we if people forget us, you know, and which is what all of this film contains. And I found the performances and the visual language so inspiring and compelling. And for a film that's about sort of connection and self-discovery, I found it surprising and nostalgic, but not at all sentimental. And so I just, I really wanted to meet the filmmaker, and then met Christos, and we got on like a house on fire, and the rest is history. I mean, it's sometimes you know, as an actor, if you want to be in, I'd love to be in Christos's next feature, but in this instance I just said, how can I help people see this film, because it's just so special. A film like this is very, very rare indeed.
I couldn't agree more. And Christos, you set this film in an alternate kind of analog yet contemporary world. It's sort of timeless. It's not exactly now, and it's not exactly the future. What were you thinking about when you set up the world and the rules? There's no iPhones, there's no social media that we can see, and yet you're still referencing that on some level. Talk about that.
I think that in general, technology has affected a lot our memory, because if you will think that even, for example, I mean, I'm sure that in the past, all of us will remember a lot of phone numbers. Or right now, I don't think that we can remember more than one or two, maybe only hours. And also, for example, the way that we use the technology. For example, if we want to go from one place to the other, we use Google Maps instead of trying to remember the way that we followed the previous time. Or so in general, the technology has affected a lot our life, and we realized that we prefer to make the movie in a more nostalgic way, to use elements that are almost forgotten in our lives right now, and also to create a world without technology, because in that way, in an analog way, because in that way we can play with the allegory and with the symbolism that the story wants to somehow to make a comment.
Φτάσαμε στο τέρμα. Σε ποια στάση κατέβαινες?
Η αμνησία εμφανίζεται πλέον ξαφνικά, χωρίς προειδοποίηση.
Ωραίο μήλο είναι αυτό.
Μπορείς να κάνεις κάτι διαφορετικό.
Σε μια ανακοίνωση που μόλις μας ήρθε από το νευρολογικό νοσοκομείο.
Νέα ταυτότητα.
Θα σου το εξηγούμε στις ηχογραφήσεις. Μην ανησυχείς.
Και θυμίσου να βγάλεις μια φωτογραφία όταν βγεις. Αυτά.
Ένα λεπτό και στο δίνω.
Μπορείς να με βγάλεις και εμένα μία?
Έχεις κάνει περισσότερα από μένα. Εσένα στο νοσοκομείο δεν σε αναζήτησε κανένας?
Όχι. Κανείς δεν ήρθε.
Πού μένεις? Εδώ λίγο πιο πάνω, στο 135. Όχι, συγγνώμη. Στο 8 μένω, όχι στο 135.